Hey everyone, welcome to Git for the Intimidated Part 6, playing nicely on GitHub. So today we're going to talk about forking projects, collaborating with other people on projects, and pushing and pulling up to projects all on GitHub. And then tomorrow we're going to talk about merge conflicts and how awesome they are, and then basic branches and a good branch workflow. And that'll actually be it for the Git for the Intimidated Screencast series, so we're actually near the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm going to try and go through this one kind of quickly, because the last one was 17 minutes. So, today we're going to talk about forking, collaborating, and pushing and pulling to repos on GitHub. So, how do we collaborate with people on GitHub? On the last screencast, we pushed our work up to GitHub, but it was still just us doing it, and it wasn't too social, right? So, last time we took a project we had made locally, our awesome comedy scene, and put it on GitHub, but we didn't have other people interacting with it. So, first, I want to start with the assumption that you want other people to do that. If you don't want to share code with people, GitHub is the wrong place to put it. Because on GitHub, everyone sees your project and they can copy it and make changes to it. So just reconcile yourself with the fact that if you put it on GitHub, it is open source, man. Any and all can take a look at it. Unless, of course, you pay to make it a private repo, but then you got to pay GitHub $7 a month. So your call. So let's demonstrate the first example of working with other people's code on GitHub, and that's called forking. You'll hear people make the joke, I want to fork their repo, and we'll go over what that means now. And it's actually a sort of a compliment. So you can fork anything. So I'm going to go to, I'm going to navigate here, and I'm going to search for the Ruby on Rails repo. So, boom. I'm going to search in Google, and there you go. This is the Ruby on Rails source code I'm on GitHub right now. Rails is hosted on GitHub, like the code for it. And it's a lot of folders and a lot of files. And I can take my own copy of it. I can make like this giant thing, Ruby on Rails, which like industries are based around, and I can fork it for myself. And if you look in the top right here, this line right up here I'm trying to highlight, look, there's a fork button, and right next to it tells you that 5,558 people have forked this code. So to fork it means that I take all this code that lives on the Rails account, and now this Rails app, this repo is going to live on the Renish account also. So I'm going to hit fork. And we're going to fork this to Renish. That's my account. And there you go. You're going to get this cool screen, forking Rails. And notice it's like copying a book, but also has a fork in it, and GitHub's pretty clever. So look, oh, it's still not done yet. So wow, look. Now if you look, Renish, my account has its own copy of Rails, and it says it's forked from the Rails account actually. So this is my own copy of Ruby on Rails. This is my version that I can now edit at my leisure. It has all the prior commits of everyone else on the Rails core team who edited it, but now it's my own copy, and I can make whatever changes I feel like. So I can put this on my local computer and then make those changes. And one thing I want to emphasize is that they want you to do this. Like open source software, that's the benefit. I want you to do this. So, cool. So normally I'm not a big fan of using apps like Rails in my GitHub examples, but I wanted to show you that you can fork anything, even like a big-time app like Rails. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to my friend's GitHub page and fork one of his much smaller, more manageable apps. This is my friend Raghu, nice guy, and he has an app called Week 1 Homework, and I'm just going to open this up. And look, it's my friend Jeff also authored it, and it's just some homework and lecture code. It's way simpler than Ruby on Rails, and I'm actually going to fork it. And look, 34 people have already forked it. And there you go. So now I forked this app, and it's in my account now, the Renish account. And now if I look, I have a repo called Week 1, which is all these files right here. But what if I want to actually edit the files rather than look at them on GitHub? So I have to do the next step of forking to actually edit a file, and that's called cloning. So you see this address right here I highlighted? I want you to highlight it and then hit Command-C to copy it. And now open up terminal. And I want you to go to some place like where you want to put this code. So I'm going to minimize this browser screen right now. And I'm going to navigate to my desktop. I'm going to Command K. Now I'm going to run this command called git clone. And then you put in some address here, which in this case would be the address I copied and pasted. And I'm just going to run this. Boom. And now look, this project week 1 that I had just forked from my friend Raghu on GitHub, and when I run the git clone command, it now lives on my desktop actually. So now I've taken the code that was hosted away on GitHub and now it's locally on my computer. Cool? So GitHub is really easy. So that's the same thing as emailing them, right? But here I just ran a command, no email, no fussiness with versions or anything like that. So let me open this app up. I'm going to navigate into it. And Command K, and then I'm going to open the contents up with my text editor Sublime. And look, I have all the code now. Like, if I look, there's week 1 code, there's lecture code, and there's a README file, and I'm just going to edit the README file. So I deleted everything my friend Raghu had put in the README file, and now it's going to say Ranish is cool, README edit. Alright, so let me save that. And now I just saved it locally. I didn't even commit it. So from the last screencast, you should know that I need to commit it. Git add-a. Cool. And so now if I look on GitHub, it still hasn't changed. The README still looks exactly the same. It doesn't say anything about Ranish's cool README. So as you remember in the last screencast, I'm going to run git push origin master. Oh, I have to add that origin as a remote. Git remote add origin and the address. So there we go, and then git push origin master. And I should actually write in the push-u, but we'll live with that. Anyways, now when I go up and I refresh my repo here on GitHub, now look, it actually is displaying my README with that change. So there you go. I just took some code that was on my friend Raghu's account, I forked it, then I cloned it locally, and then I pushed a change up. So now this version, week 1, that I have is different than the one that Raghu has. So if I look on, I'm going to refresh the page again. If you look on the Ranish/week 1, it says the most current commit was with Ranish, you authored a minute ago. But if I go back and look at Raghu's week 1, then it's actually an older version. It's a different version now, I should say. So there you go. That's like the basic way of like using other people's code on GitHub. All right. So cool, I updated the README, right? But what if I wanted someone else to update the README as well, or update any of this code? Right now it's just me working on it. So I'm going to do something, I'm going to add a collaborator. And I'm not going to really add one, I'm just going to show you the steps, but let me go back. On your repo's main page here, go to settings, then go to collaborators right here on the left. And look, you can just type in anyone's screen name. So let's say I want my friend Raghu to actually edit this repo. There you go. I could put in a screen name and then hit the add button, and then he get an email saying he can now push up to this repo. He could push up to the Ranish/week 1 repo. He doesn't have to clone it anymore. He's actually pushing up to my version of this file. Okay. And then when Raghu wanted to get this code, he would just actually code, and then he would actually take this exact address, github.com/ranish/week1.git, and he would clone that onto his computer through the git clone command. And then when he wanted to make his changes, he'd make them, commit them, and then run git push origin master. And then once that happened, I would see his work. So to demonstrate seeing other people's work, I'm actually going to navigate to another app that I was working on today with some friends that I know has some work on GitHub that I need to pull down. So they made some changes and I need to pull them down. So this was I was working on this app with some friends, Change Your GitHub Fun. We were doing some testing work. This is an app that I'm a collaborator on. And look, there's 27 commits. And I'm actually going to navigate to the version of it. I'm in this folder, Change Your GitHub Fun, locally on my computer now. And if I run git log, I see I just have one commit. And if I look here, there's actually 27 commits that are on GitHub. So I'm a little out of date, right? I don't have the most current version of this project. So just like I pulled up, I'm going to Command K to clear out the screen. Just like I pushed stuff up to repos with git push, there's another command that's scarily similar called git pull. And I can actually run git pull origin master. And what that's going to say is, hey git, pull down all the commits I don't have from the remote repo called origin, and specifically what's on its master branch. And it'll pull that down into my master branch. And if you're a little curious about branches, we'll get to that in the last screencast in the series. So I'm going to run that command. Git pull origin master. Oh, and actually we're going to get into merge conflicts. But I did get a merge conflict, so it didn't actually pull the files. I'm just going to run git stash, which we'll talk about later. I'm going to Command K and then do git pull origin master. Cool. So it worked because it actually pulled down all these files, and you'll see this create mode, and it was adding all these files to my project that were living on GitHub but not living on my local computer, and now they're all on my local computer. So I'm going to run git status. I'm going to Command K out. And, well, this is kind of a strange thing. I think it has to do with rebasing. But I'm on branch master, and it's basically saying there's nothing to commit, and I'm saying I'm good. I'm caught up, basically. Yeah, so I have all the stuff that's now on GitHub. I had pulled down this project, and now I'm going to run git pull origin master again. And look, because I had just pulled out all those files, now I just get this already up-to-date thing. Basically, if I was trying to pull again, it would just say, hey, you already have everything that is on GitHub. Like, you don't need, there's nothing more to pull down. So yeah, these are the basics of working with each other on GitHub. It's actually really simple. So to recap, first, if you find a project you want to work on that someone else has on GitHub, like Ruby on Rails, you just hit the fork button. And then when you're ready, you copy the address and you run git clone on your terminal. Git clone and then the address. And that makes the files local on your computer. Then you have to do git remote add and then git push origin master. And that'll push your changes up to the GitHub account. And then when you know some of your friends who've added as a collaborator on a project have made some changes, and you want to pull their changes locally down to your computer, you're just going to run git pull origin master. And there you go. So just two commands that you actually write on the command line, but these will get you working on a basic push-pull workflow with your friends and projects. So that's it. Yeah. Pretty cool, huh? If you have questions, hit me up at www.renish.com. or renish@gmail.com, and that's RONEESH. All right, hope this was helpful, guys.